At a time when the private sector has lost around 5 million jobs, and those still employed are accepting frozen salaries, canceled bonuses, and longer workdays, jobs in the public sector are booming. Public sector unions have used their considerable political power to redirect taxpayers' money to preserve not only their jobs, but their generous salaries and benefits as well, all while providing poorer quality public services to the American people. With the gap between pay and performance widening, unnecessarily costing American taxpayers billions of their hard-earned dollars, reining in spending on public employees is crucial to America's financial future. Many relatively simple reforms, like the elimination of fixed payouts for public sector pensions, could help control these costs. So why don't these reforms happen? The public sector unions stand in the way of changing the system. A study by the Employee Benefit Research Institute estimated that the average public sector worker earned 46% more in salary and benefits than private sector employees performing comparable work. The official unemployment rate has hovered around 10% for the last 2 years, and private sector job growth is virtually non-existent. But public sector employment has grown. The jobless rate for government workers is under 3%, and their salaries continue to rise. When the movement among public sector workers to unionize began gathering momentum in the 1950s, some critics observed that government is a monopoly, not subject to the discipline of the marketplace, and allowing them to unionize would eventually give them the power to hold politicians and taxpayers hostage. Since then, public sector unions have successfully shut down schools, police and fire departments, and other essential services, including entire transit systems, by going on strike to prevent virtually any reforms that would rein in spending. There are often no legal alternatives to public services, so many states have outlawed such strikes. But that has only pushed unions to organize political action committees, hire lobbyists, and use their considerable muscle to elect sympathetic public officials. Savvy public unions are now moving to crush the recent rise of anti-tax movements around the country. And they've been successful. In spite of high unemployment rates and huge budget deficits, states like California and New York have already raised taxes to cover their promises to unions instead of making efforts to cut spending and live within their means. In the private sector, an employer forced to pay too much for labor will eventually go out of business. But in the public sector, more union members just means more voters, more dollars for political campaigns, and higher taxes to fund expanding wage and benefit payments to workers who are impossible to fire. Public sector unions have spent several decades successfully demanding unsustainable salaries and endless benefits at the expense of struggling taxpayers. It's time for Americans to fight back while we still have the chance to secure our financial future.